she was Egyptian and not a foreign princess, tall, thin, and at least her husband wanted her to be portrayed as beautiful.
The iconic bust of Queen Nefertiti shows a face of grace and power. But the thing nobody tells you is that her life likely ended in betrayal and terror.
All depictions and writings of Nefertiti mysteriously disappear after about 12 years.
A groundbreaking DNA analysis of her potential relatives has finally shed light on why she vanished from history. The evidence points away from a peaceful passing and toward a gruesome end that was part of a massive cover-up. The genetic secrets, hidden for over 3,000 years, are now exposed, revealing a terrifying conclusion to the story of the Nile's most famous queen. Secrets of Amarna. But what many people overlook is that Nefertiti's importance went way beyond her looks. She and her husband Akhenaten kicked off one of the wildest religious revolutions in history. They decided that all of Egypt's many gods were out and only one was in, the Aten, represented by the sun disk. To put it mildly, this was a huge deal. It was like canceling every holiday and tradition and replacing them with something brand new overnight. This move took power away from the wealthy priests and put it all in the hands of the royal family. For a while, Nefertiti wasn't just a queen, she was a high priestess and a co-ruler, helping to reshape the soul of an entire nation. The art from this time shows just how special she was. You can see carvings of her smiting Egypt's enemies, a job usually reserved for the pharaoh. She even wore the pharaoh's special blue crown. You just don't see other queens being shown with that kind of authority. In their new capital city, Amarna, she was seen as a ruler in her own right. But here's where it gets weird. After year 12 of her husband's reign, she just disappears. Poof! Gone from all official records. This sudden silence has fueled endless debate. Did she pass away? Was she kicked out of the palace? Or did she do something even more shocking, like take on a new name and rule as pharaoh herself? The puzzle of Nefertiti's demise is tied directly to her vanishing act. Unlike other famous royals whose grand tombs we can visit today, her final resting place has never been found. For a civilization obsessed with the afterlife and building massive tombs, this is a massive red flag. It suggests something went terribly wrong with her passing. Her story is a giant question mark. She was one of the most powerful people on the planet, and then it was like she never existed. This is why the idea of analyzing her DNA has been so exciting. Scientists hoped it could finally shine a light into these dark corners of history. But the thing is, sometimes when you go looking for answers in the dark, you find something terrifying. The secrets in her bones were not what anyone expected. Family tree's dark secret. For a long time, figuring out ancient Egypt was all about reading hieroglyphs and digging up artifacts. But in the last couple of decades, a new tool has completely changed the game: DNA analysis. Now, scientists can look directly into the genetic code of mummies that are thousands of years old. You see, this technology has been able to solve mysteries that were once thought to be lost to time. For example, DNA testing proved that the famous boy king, Tutankhamun, was the son of the mummy found in a tomb called KV55, who was almost certainly Akhenaten. It also identified another mummy known as the Younger Lady as King Tut's mother. These weren't just fun facts. They helped untangle the messy royal family tree of the 18th dynasty. But not all things are what they seem. Working with DNA this old is incredibly tricky. Imagine trying to read a book that's been left out in the rain for 3,000 years. The pages are ripped, the ink is smeared, and some pages are just gone. That's what ancient DNA is like. The hot Egyptian climate causes the delicate strands of DNA to break down over time. Plus, there's a huge risk of contamination. Every person who has handled the mummy, from the ancient embalmers to modern archaeologists, could have left their own DNA behind, confusing the results. This means that DNA results from ancient Egypt often come with a big maybe. They can suggest a family connection but can rarely prove it with 100% certainty. So when scientists started looking for Nefertiti's DNA, they knew it wouldn't be easy. Without a confirmed mummy of Nefertiti to get a sample from, they had to work backward. They started by testing the mummies of her known relatives, trying to create a genetic profile that would match an unidentified mummy. The most shocking fact to come out of this was the revelation about King Tut's parents. The DNA showed he was the product of a brother-sister union. While keeping the bloodline pure through such unions wasn't unheard of for Egyptian royals, it often came at a terrible cost, and King Tut paid the price. His DNA revealed he had malaria and a host of health problems from birth, likely because of it. This discovery painted a disturbing picture of the royal family. It wasn't a glamorous story of gods on earth, it was a story of a dynasty in a downward spiral, weakened by its own traditions. And right in the middle of this genetic mess was the mystery of Tut's mother, the younger lady. Could this mummy found in a simple side chamber really be the legendary Queen Nefertiti? This single question would lead researchers down a truly dark path. A body of evidence. Of all the unidentified mummies in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, one has caused more arguments than any other, the younger lady. She was found back in 1898 in a tomb known as KV-35. But for 100 years, nobody paid her much attention. She was just another body, unwrapped and lying in a side room without any royal fanfare. But then came the age of DNA, and suddenly this forgotten mummy became one of the most important figures in all of Egyptian history. Genetic tests dropped a bombshell on the world of archaeology. The younger lady was the biological mother of Tutankhamun. The most famous boy king in history finally had a face to match his mother's name. What's more, the DNA also proved she was the daughter of Pharaoh Amenhotep III and Queen Tai. This made her a full-blooded royal and, more importantly, the full sister of Akhenaten. The thing nobody tells you is what this really means. King Tut was the son of a brother and sister. This discovery sent shockwaves through the academic world. For some, this was the smoking gun. They believed the younger lady had to be Nefertiti. After all, Nefertiti was Akhenaten's great royal wife, so it makes sense that she would be the mother of his heir, Tutankhamun. It seemed like a perfect fit, a neat solution to two of Egypt's greatest mysteries. But you see, it wasn't that simple. In fact, this is where the mystery deepens. There's a huge problem with this theory. Throughout all of the thousands of carvings and inscriptions from her time, Nefertiti is never, not once, referred to as a king's daughter. If she were the child of Amenhotep III, she absolutely would have held that title. It was a big deal. This contradiction has led most Egyptologists to say that the younger lady is not Nefertiti. Instead, she was likely another one of Akhenaten's sisters, a different wife we know little about. But the debate is far from over. Some scholars argue that Nefertiti's origins could have been deliberately hidden or that records were changed. But the most terrifying evidence came from the mummy itself. When forensic experts examined the younger lady, they found she had met a truly violent end. Her jaw was shattered, and there was a massive, gruesome wound on the side of her face, a blow so powerful it would have been instantly fatal. The damage was done before she was mummified. This wasn't a natural passing. This woman was silenced and silenced violently. Anatomy of a takedown. The evidence of a violent end for the younger lady adds a chilling layer to the mystery. Whether she was Nefertiti or another royal woman, someone wanted her out of the picture, and they did it with brutal force. This single wound opens up a whole new world of terrifying possibilities about Nefertiti's disappearance. What if she didn't just fade away? What if she was deliberately taken out? In the high-stakes world of the Egyptian royal court, power was everything, and people were willing to do terrible things to get it and keep it. A queen as powerful and influential as Nefertiti would have made a lot of enemies. One theory is that the conflict was inside the palace walls. If Nefertiti was trying to rule on her own after Akhenaten's passing, or maybe pushing for one of her daughters to take the throne, she could have been seen as a threat by other factions at court. In that kind of environment, a permanent solution wouldn't have been off the table. Her disappearance from the records could have been the final step in a successful coup, a way to erase the memory of a ruler who was overthrown. Another, even more popular idea ties her potential elimination to the religious chaos of the time. Nefertiti was the face of the Aten religion, but after Akhenaten's demise, Egypt was in a hurry to go back to its old gods. The powerful priests who had lost everything were back in charge, and they were not in a forgiving mood. If Nefertiti tried to stand in their way, if she fought to keep the Aten faith alive, she would have been seen as a dangerous heretic. What better way to signal the end of a religious revolution than to eliminate its queen? This brings us back to the missing tomb. In ancient Egypt, a proper burial was your ticket to the afterlife. To deny someone a tomb or to desecrate their body was to condemn their soul for eternity. If Nefertiti was taken out by her enemies, they wouldn't have given her a grand burial. They would have hidden her body or destroyed it, making sure she was forgotten in this world and the next. The most shocking fact is that this wasn't just about one woman. It was about erasing a whole chapter of history. The pharaohs who came after Akhenaten and Tutankhamun literally chiseled their names off of monuments, trying to pretend they never existed. It's not a stretch to think Nefertiti was caught in this wave of historical cancellation, perhaps in the most brutal way possible. The DNA might not give us a name, but it paints a picture of betrayal and violence at the very top. Wild theories and cosmic cover-ups. But what if the conspiracy goes even deeper than a mere court coup or a religious backlash? What if Nefertiti's disappearance wasn't just a brutal assassination, but a meticulously orchestrated vanishing act, designed to rewrite history on a cosmic scale? The very lack of her tomb, the deliberate erasure, hints at a power so immense and a secret so profound that it needed to be wiped from existence. Imagine a cabal, not just of vengeful priests, but of unseen forces, perhaps even from beyond the known world, who deem Nefertiti's influence too dangerous, her understanding of the Aten too pure, too close to a truth they wish to keep hidden. One audacious theory suggests Nefertiti wasn't merely a devotee of the Aten, but a direct conduit, a living oracle who communicated with the solar disk itself. Perhaps the Aten wasn't just a god, but an extraterrestrial intelligence, a celestial entity that bestowed advanced knowledge upon Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Their radical monotheism wasn't a philosophical shift, but a direct decree from the stars, a revelation too potent for the superstitious masses of Egypt. Nefertiti, with her striking beauty and unparalleled authority, might have been the primary interpreter of these cosmic messages. Her disappearance then becomes less about earthly power struggles and more about silencing a prophet who held secrets that could unravel the very fabric of human understanding. The shattered jaw of the younger lady, if indeed she was Nefertiti, could be a symbolic act, a physical manifestation of breaking the connection, silencing the voice that spoke with the heavens. Consider the possibility that Nefertiti, or at least the energy she channeled, was not entirely human. The elongated skulls seen in some Amarna art, often attributed to artistic license, could instead be a subtle, chilling hint at an altered lineage, a genetic augmentation passed down through the royal line, perhaps from the very star beings who influenced the Aten cult. Her power wasn't just political, it was metaphysical. And when Akhenaten faltered, perhaps due to his own health issues or a waning cosmic connection, Nefertiti stepped into the void, attempting to solidify her reign not just as pharaoh, but as a bridge between worlds. This would have terrified the traditionalists, not just because it threatened their earthly power, but because it challenged their entire cosmology, exposing humanity to truths they were not ready to comprehend. Furthermore, what if the younger lady isn't Nefertiti at all, but a decoy, a carefully placed sacrifice meant to throw future generations off the scent? The true Nefertiti perhaps ascended to another plane of existence, spirited away by her celestial patrons to continue her work elsewhere, leaving behind a manipulated body and a fabricated narrative of violent demise. The story of Nefertiti is a chilling reminder that some secrets refuse to stay buried. Do you think we'll ever find her true tomb, or was it destroyed forever? Let us know below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more mysteries from the ancient world.